greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said. The chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in your hands to break.
You know, I really should have looked up who wrote that actual song for Rankin Bass in 1977. So let me click out of here and we will get over here. I tried to turn the click off because I think it was 1977. I don't want the film series. It was 1977. I'm a sheer genius. So that was the cartoon, the first cartoon version, the mercifully much shorter version, and yet still flawed, but not nearly as flawed as Mr. What's His Guts, who had to make three movies out of one book. Jeebus. The music was it was based on The Hobbit, of course. The music was by Glenn Yarbrough. I think he was somebody. The Limelighters, folk singer. Yeah, all right. That's probably him singing. A lot of cool songs in here, but it is flawed. It's not the best version, but again, it's mercifully shorter than a trilogy of The Hobbit, which was 200 plus pages. And so The Hobbit is my favorite book by one of my favorite books. It is my favorite of Tolkien's books simply because it's funny, it's mercifully shorter, and there's not a lot of marching in it. I mean, there is a lot of traveling, but it's broken up with spiders and wolves and goblins. They weren't called orcs then. I mean, everything was The Hobbit was retconned several times to make it fit into the Lord of the Rings. Ha! So this book, we're not going to go much over the actual book. But before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, vote in the poll, and leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. Please, well, yeah, you can watch on Spotify. Please watch for at least a couple of minutes longer than usual. It really helps the algorithm and gets the videos out there. Thank you. Anyway, this is the annotated version, and it's annotated by Douglas A. Anderson, winner of the Mythopoeic Society Scholarship Award. Douglas A. Anderson, revised and expanded edition. Now mine has a little water damage in it. You can see it here and there. We can thank probably TJ, my orange ginger cat, because ginger cats are buttheads. Not going to say anything about certain ginger I know, Lilith Draco. But this is it's wonderful. It's got the whole story in it. It's got the extra crap where Tolkien edited it. And it's full of illustrations from all around the world. Plus, you get all kinds of extra stuff about how Tolkien, what he was influenced by early on in his life, what he loved, and then later poo-pooed, or had at least some disdain for, which is just sad, if you ask me. But the whole book's just wonderful. This came out in, The Hobbit was written in 1937, revised and revised and revised, at least until 1966. Copyright was renewed by his son. Anyway, this book, tell me when this book was published, you bastards. Your agent is up in Wyoming, in Laramie. However, due to some certain circumstances, he was not able to get anywhere today. You remember the old SNL skit, Massive Head Wound Harry? Well, it wasn't a massive head wound, but it was a good one. I'm trying to see where this was actually printed when this one came out. But the bastards aren't telling me. So there's an acknowledgement, a preface, then they get in and they talk about all kinds of stuff. I highly recommend these annotated versions that Houghton Mifflin puts out because they're just wonderful. Look, it's even got a a quote from the Denver Post. Denver is very near to Fossil Bed. It's got original drawings from Tolkien himself. Look at the look at that there. And he talks about how he put the spider sequence in just to terrify his son. And it's full of some really nice color prints here. Now, yes, the 77 version was flawed. It leaves out bunches of stuff, much like the trilogy does. And I will admit, right now, I've only seen the first two movies. I had a wonderful time seeing the first one, even with Peter Jackson's gravity and physics defying nonsense that he has to put in. The same kind of short stuff he put in his useless and needless King Kong remake. These are just really cool. I kind of wish that I didn't have the water damage, but it's since it was TJ, my ginger cat, I'm going to keep it because I love that cat and I miss my ginger girl. So really nice, and they're from all over the world. I'm not even doing it justice because I'm not telling you who it's from. But really, my head hurts, and I don't want to go into it too much. None of that. And the rest of the illustrations you get are also from all over the world. If I can find some here, we will hold on a minute. I'll just flip it over and find some instead of talking to it. I was first exposed to the Riddle of the Ring, the riddles in the dark. That was where I read the first part of The Hobbit, and then that made me want to read more of it. But I actually read The Fellowship first. There's Gandalf, not looking at all, well, kind of looking like the movie version, but I don't even know who that is supposed to be. Oh, it's a what? Flies and spiders. So yes, this is where he talks about how he put that in there because his son was terrified by spiders. Who could blame him? Spiders are scary. I love spiders when they're outside doing their job, eating bugs, but when they come inside, oh, here you go. There's a nice one. Look at that. Can you imagine? I mean, Bilbo and the Spiders, German edition by Klaus, illustration by Klaus Ensekat. So, and there's one here from a Russian edition and a Swedish and Russian. I mean, yeah, no one's ever known what Gollum looks like, or he described him a bit. Here's a German Elven King, this is not Elrond. Elrond was earlier in the edition, of course, but you just didn't have too much. Let's get here. Oh, I've missed Bilbo. So he discovers he riddles for the ring, of course, and the wargs. Oh, there's just this is full of great illustrations. There's too many to even bother to tell you. I'm trying to find some. Oh, so there's Gollum, and there's Gollum, two vastly different versions. Now, the first one was by Alan Lee in 1997. This one was from an Estonian version because he's just not described. Did we even know he was a hobbit? No. Or a halfling? That was all retconned for the Lord of the Rings, the trilogy. So I still remember many of the rhymes because it's just a creepy, I mean, and because Bilbo spared him, that set everything else in motion now. Like, once again, there's a huge, after the Battle of Five Armies, the Quest of Erebor is in here, and then many, many citations and footnotes, and just tons. And things that inspired Tolkien. I mean, he didn't just conjure this up out of whole cloth. He, a lot of it was from his desire to make up a language or 2 or 4 or 10 or whatever he did. But, he was inspired by other things. And I'd love to read some of these other books that, he did a really, it's a fun book.
The greatest adventure is there if you're bold. Let go of the moment that life makes you hold.
We're just looking here.
Measure the meaning can make you delay. It's It's time you stop thinking and wasting the day.
This song
A
goes on
man
forever.
who's a dreamer.
We're not going to listen to all that song because it's, hippy dippy. But again, this is just a wonderful book. I highly recommend the annotated versions. I think I gave someone a one about Dracula many years ago, and there's Gollum. And in the 77 version, he looked a lot like a frog. So I don't know if you want to claim that, Agent Frog, but if you want to, you can. It's just no one ever. He didn't really describe him. I think that one of the things Peter Jackson did well was his portrayal of. Oh, we looked at that one already. See if there's any more piters in here. Oh, this is from Bulgaria. I love the fact that they pull all these from various different all over the world. There's Thorin being a jerk to the Elven King, and vice versa. Elves and dwarves. Elves and dwarves. Like cats and dogs. But it all works out. I mean, it's such a good little story, and it was just. It's kind of a shame that he had to retcon everything to try to. The ring, especially Bilbo's now secretive instead of just having a secret about such a ring. You know, retcons are fine when they work, but when you have to change things, substantially, I don't know. But overall, I mean, I do really enjoy the Lord of the Rings. It's just that it's so. If you took out all the marching, it'd only be 2 books instead of 4 or 3, pardon me, or 6 if you count that each book has 2 of them inside each other. So and then of course the movies were just endless. I haven't watched them for a good it's coming up on 20 years now that I've seen the trilogy. I watched the extended versions. My roommate at the time had them, so it was easy. They were separated on 2 discs, DVD, because their Blu-ray really hadn't started coming out yet. But you could just stop it at the first disc, so you watch 6 movies instead of 4 or 3. I don't know why my math is hard. Just ask Barbie; she said so. So we're coming to you from Laramie tomorrow. I'm hoping we can let's find some illustrations of Smog. Smog the Destroyer. Smog all the things that he says. I think they should make movies about Bard instead of the Rings of Power. Just, leave all that crap out. But I haven't watched any of them. There's the Tolkien's version. And here we have one from, let's look again here. Portugal. It's from Portuguese. No, it's from Portugal. And here's another illustration there. Ernest and the Toad. Hey, look, another frog reference, or at least another amphibian. So there you go. You get 2 there, frog. All right. This is going to be a shorter one. Once again, YouTube does think that I swipe stuff from Shout Factory for Attack of the Monsters, but they shouldn't. We'll see if they say this. This has a copyright mark.
And never takes leave who thinks of a world that is just make believe. Will never know passion, will never know pain. Who sits by the window will one day see rain.
Build to a climax. So I'd like to have I don't know if he did the same music for the Return of the King adaptation that Rankin Bass did. Like I said, it's charming. I'd much rather watch it in 87 minutes, or what does it say it is here? It's got great voice actors. It's a whopping 78 minutes long. They could have really gone for 90 minutes. But Richard Boone plays Smaug, the desolation of the dragon, and he's amazing. Orson Bean is in it. John Huston, Otto Preminger, one of the Mr. Freezes himself. So how can you go wrong with that? I don't know who Brother Theodore is, but they did a good job. I mean, they really geared it. Whoever was the great goblin, I mean, he gets his head sliced off and they kind of wuss out on that, but nobody cares if you kill a goblin. I mean, especially those goblins, because they were awful. Who are these miserable persons? Anyway, just remember, agents, this is X7 signing off until our next adventure. But remember, not all who wander are lost, which is why I'm reviewing this up here in the wilds of Wyoming. And, um, you know, well, I was going to go somewhere else with the Hobbit. In a hole in the ground, there lived a Hobbit. It was a Hobbit hole, and that means comfort. So until our next adventure tomorrow, where hopefully we'll have pictures of what I've been up here, came up here to see. This is X7 signing off.
The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said. The chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in your hands to break. The greatest adventure is what lies ahead.